Hello my profane friends, here we are at Carbridge. I'll show you how Masonic, the profane, don't realise how, look, just that circle alone, that clock face, okay, and obviously when you put across like the main points here, what do you get? 4 pyramids. So I'll show you that in a minute, right? But obviously the design is, it's the all-seeing eye within the pyramids, right? There's some guy do some right good sculptures. Look at that, look. You know what I mean? But I'll show you some symbolism in a minute, where it doesn't matter where you go across the world, any town, any village, any holiday resort, it's all controlled by the Freakmasons. Again, if you look here, look, it's from 1717. Okay, this is when it's like, obviously you can see there's beautiful sculptures here. But the point of the matter is, this is how prevalent the Freakmasons are. A lovely deer there. Look. You've got some guy here and he's doing all these sculptures, you know. Yeah. You alright, sir? Are you on the square? Are you on the square?
The square?
Yeah, you know, Mason? No?
No.
Oh, alright, I love you then. I just wondered if there's a lodge. Right, thank you. Now, this here, look, right, this is called Reuben's Retreat, right? I've gone back the other way, I'm just having a little walk up here. But again, do you notice the 3 windows, look, you see? 2, 4, 6, okay? Now, I just want to show you this carving, because these carvings are absolutely wonderful. But again, look, this is the symbolism of it all. See, it's always 3s, remember that, that's what tells me this is Masonic, you know? Look, see, look, pure Masonic. See, 3 pyramids, 9 points. That's your Masonic 9, but it's all Masonic. That's what it is. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Well, I just want to show you these carvings. Look at that. It's a buzzard, and no, not partridges in it, and a pear tree and all that. You know what I mean? But look at this. Look at this. You've got this lovely tree here. Look. Yeah, we can go in. Okay. And then up here, where is it? Watch this. It's wonderful. Look at this. Look at that. It's beautiful, isn't it? You know what I mean? See, in fond memory of Tom, whoever Tom was, and guarantee Tom, he was more than likely a Freemason. That's why he's honoured here. Notice the 232, yeah, which is your Masonic cube of the daffodil. But this is what's interesting. This here, look. Here, do you see it? Obviously, it's 3 pyramids, but can you see what's on top of the pyramids? The world domination ball with the obelisk. You see? 3 of them, see? And again, it gives the rank to what this is. And obviously this here, again, to Ra, look, the sun god. You've got the sun hieroglyph coming above the horizon. You see what I mean? It's all Masonic. There's nothing that ain't Masonic. Do you see what I mean? You know, again, in the door, even the door, the Masonic arch, you've got the sun hieroglyph, you see? What this place is here, I think it was mainly a church to begin with, maybe. Do you know what I mean? But again, notice 9, look, 9 windows, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 windows, you see? As above, so below gives you your 6. But look at this, I'll show you how prevalent the 6s and 9s are, or the 3s, because it's all 3, 6, 9s, all that Freakmasonry. You know, I'll show you how prevalent it is, but look, that tells me that's Masonic straight away. You know what I mean? You know, obviously, look, 3 for 33 degrees, 7 total for the G. The G in the middle of the 33-degree Freakmasons, you see? Oh, sorry. Yeah, you are. She's oh dear. So, yeah, let's go up here. It looks like the carving dude lives there, I think. That's where he works. And obviously it shows you he's Masonic with his silly little circle within the pyramid. But up here, look, and I'll show you. And these will be the original, you know, houses to the village. And And like I said, they build everything, they own everything. You know, they're the first settlers to make a village because they're the leaders. To get that, see, all the Freakmasons were the leaders. You know, whether they travelled east or west or north or south. Yeah, you know, they were the G travellers. You know what I mean? And they're the ones that settled, and they were the leaders of the half, the earth, the half of the fire, the heart. See? Now again, look, you see, look, 3 pyramids, look, 3 pyramids. What you got on the pyramids, look? The Masonic world domination balls, as above, so below. Another Masonic ranking of the rank of the person who's a Freakmason here. And right in front, look, you've got the big pyramid with 3 windows under it, you see? And you think that's not, you know, and again, look, the windows there, 2, 4, 6. See, 3 6s, 6, 6, 6. See, and that's how it goes on and on and on in any town, any city, any village, and it just shows you their dominance over you. Look, 3 top windows, 6 at the bottom, 3 6s, 6, 6, 6. You see, same as on the other side. See, their power knows no bounds. Now the Khan Hotel, look, what we got there, look, we know that is a point within the circle. You see, it's compass. See. 3 times there's a circle, 3 compasses, you see, the points within the circle, see, that's the Cairn Hotel. And what do we have of the rankings? Look, again, look, we've got 3 pyramids, look, you see, and on top of the pyramids we've got the ranks, or the, you know, again, it's the world domination ball, look, there's 2 of them, and then right at the top you've got your obelisk, you see, but on each one, again, denoting the rank of the Freakmason that owns the hotel. Remember, they own all the hotels. This is why you've got problems, you know, with all the indigenous species that are moving in over here. Now, so that's the Cairn Hotel, and again, you've got the pyramid there, look, with the world domination ball, as above, so below, right? So if you're not convinced, right, look at this, watch. Now, this isn't me, I haven't been here, you know, I don't live here, but how strange that people, even in Scotland, as in Galston or Great Yarmouth or whatever, are sitting in a pyramid, yeah, sitting in a pyramid by the 3 chairs, okay, and then we have the round circle for the all-seeing eye, which is the compass, and then they're all sitting on the square, you see, and it ain't just this side, it's this side as well, you know what I mean? So what is going on? And then you've got this here, look, see it again, look, 3 pyramids. And what's atop the pyramids? The ranking. Notice the different ranking. Look, world domination ball. I forget what that's called now. That is actually a pearl, like the pearl drop or something. It is actually something, but I can't remember. And then you've got a difference on the downside. You've got a different. I can't see. You've got a different signature, but it's again, it's an obelisk on each one, and it denotes the rank of the person who's a Freakmason that lives there. You know what I mean? Whether they're still owned by Freakmasonry or not, I don't know. You know, I can't go around discriminating against who lives where. You know what I mean? But their power of persuasion knows no bounds. Do you know what I mean? And that's what you're talking about all the time. Regardless of where you are, the Freakmasons own everything. Like the car, you know, it don't matter what it is, they own it. You know, whether it's like a little art, you know, the old bakery, arts and crafts. You know, oh sorry, kind lady, they own it. There's the circle there, look, again within the pyramid, which represents the all-seeing eye, and like the clock face I said back there, look, you've got 4 quarters, what give you 4 pyramids, you see, because time is what they invented and what they made up, yeah, and they know in that time span they've got to keep us confused, yeah, and they're like, they don't worry about time, it doesn't matter, their life just goes on, yeah, and that goes on perfectly. There's no trouble, no hassle for them, yeah, they just go on, so long as they live comfortably and do anything and everything they want, and they can keep shushing it up and keeping people dumb, that's all they got to do. And they reset everyone every 20 years, every 30 years, you know, they just keep people so busy working, doing a 9 till 5, they ain't got time to research or think what's going on, who's controlling everything, and people are just happy getting along, you know, go along to get along, do you know what I mean? But that's what it is. This is just a little village, you know. Even the sign on this, look, you see it, look, see, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 33 degrees, but I also know that they represent pyramids, the 4 pyramids in each corner, look, that's why that's cut off, you see what I mean? There's obviously more to it. but I don't need to get into it, you know. 6 windows at the top, look, 6 windows below. See, but again, it's a different rank, and unless you know it, you know, you ain't going to know what it is. They ain't going to tell you, because it's their secret code that tells them, you know, who's there, who's going to give them the sort of relief they want, you know. Yeah, look, even here, look, see, Y3, look, 1, 2, 3, see, because it marks their Masonic domination. Oh, baby, you know. I'm nearly at the end of the village. That's how small the village is, you know. And then we've got the other hotel here. This one here. And as you can see, just on the back end of the hotel, got a lovely river there. Look, beautiful, beautiful. Just like all of you, beautiful. But again, can you see the three pyramids there? Look, and then you've got a different type of rank. You know what I mean? That tells you the power of these people, you know what I mean, that live here, the rich and the powerful. Or do you think or do you think someone who's working in McDonald's or Tesco's or, you know, a chicken factory is going to actually ever own this Carbridge hotel? Oh, I don't think so. You can see the zigzags going up the pyramid here, yeah. You know what I mean? Then you've got the 3 pyramids in the middle, you see, and each pyramid has a world domination ball right on top, if you can see. And if you see, it's a point on the edge of the 4 pieces. Look, can you see the point within the circles? Look, points within the circle, you see, in the world domination ball on top of the obelisks. But obviously I don't know what the ranks are, do you know what I mean? But that's what it is. All them zigzags are all you know, on the square, and within the each one, if you notice, there's 3 petals. Look, the 3 petals, where is it? Sunny. See the 3 petals, and the 3 petals are law: land, air, water. We dominate over you and always will, you know what I mean, and we'll keep you dumb. And so long as you can't work out that these people who own all these hotels, yeah, were allowed to do what they want when they want, because these are the ones having your town hall meetings, and then you know, and getting to say what happens within this you know, within this town here. They say what happens, do you know what I mean? They make the decision for everyone who's profane. They're getting the say in it, and so long as they keep people stupid, yeah, and they're rolling in the money all the time, they don't give a shit, you know what I mean? And that's what it's all about, you know. They provide us, we consume. You know what I mean? Regardless of whether you're buying like a car or you're buying a packet of sweets, the clothes you wear, they make that for us. Do you know what I mean? And we consume it. You know what I mean? We don't do nothing. You go get 100 chickens now, and you try selling them. You'll have bailiffs on your door, police, because you ain't allowed. They have to supply you. That's why you rely on Tesco's, Ousted, and all them shops, because they want to supply you. No one's, you know, no one's got a farm, no one's feeding themselves. Obviously there's very few and far between. Some people do, and they do live off the land. But again, if it went Pete Tong, that you know, they're thinking that's going to save them, that in, because the first thing that's going to happen, people are going to come along, yeah, and they're going to rob them, stab them, kill them, and steal their food. You see what I mean? But what are you going to protect yourself with? A kitchen knife? A catapult? You know what I mean? Because you can't have any weapons. They've got all the weapons. And the people you're up against have guns. Do you know what I mean? Because they're criminals. You see what I mean? And the people who are given guns are the Freakmasons in the lodge, because the doctors have signed all the papers, and all the top policemen have signed their papers. You see what I mean? Yeah, we'll give you a gun, we'll give you this. So they're all armed. And what they've done over the centuries and the decades, believe it or not, is I've got a gun cabinet, you steal that, yeah, I'll get the insurance on it, yeah, but the guns are all being hid up into their caches, you see, into the secret cache. So when it goes off, they're all going to be armed, all these Freakmasons, because of their brothers have signed all the doctor certificates and police certificates. Do you see what I mean? So they're all armed and ready anyway, you know what I mean? They've got it all. And like I said, all them guns that have been stolen over the years, some of that is just insurance jobs, you know, for the criminally corrupt, you know, but they've got no criminal record, then, you know, and they're safe. Do you see what I mean? And that's how they're getting away with it all the time. So they put as many guns as they can in the cabinet, you know, true licenses, all signed by the police, but then they do that insurance thing, yeah, and they nick the guns and then they put it into stashes. Do you see what I mean? And that's what you're up against. You know what I mean? That all they've done for the last, just say, 100 years, yeah, is made themselves better armaments, so that if the Profane ever did uprise, they could squash you like little fleas that you are, and the peasants you are, because all you're allowed to have is a pitchfork. Do you see what I mean? You know, and that's the difference. You know what I mean? And like I said, once you start running towns and cities, yeah, with your criminal gang, yeah, and you've got people below you that'll do something for like a bag of coke or a bag of heroin, blah blah blah, you know, then what are you going to do about it? You know what I mean? Like I said, they do it in sneaky, snidey ways. They'll start a fight with you, put you in prison, and then get you through the prison system. You know, whether they throw sugar water in your face, you know, or get someone to beat you up and call you a paedophile or a rapist or a fucking nonce, or you're a grass or this, that and the other. It takes very little money to get you killed in a jail, you know, or maimed or hurt. Do you see what I mean? And that's what people need to realise, you know, and what they're doing in the marchers. You know, as soon as you put a march on or a protest, they're coming along and they got their own march to go against you, yeah, and it starts trouble. You know what I mean? And that how people perceive you within that community, you're either troublemakers or not. Like I said, look at my miners' strike, yeah. The people involved in the miners' strike are now involved with Tommy Robinson, you know what I mean, as an instance, do you know what I mean? But that's what you're dealing with, you know, and until you oust these people out of power, because you don't think these people that run these are on your side, do you? Do you really believe? No, there's a special group of people that live here, yeah, in this community, that are families, yeah, and they're going to do everything in their possible power to keep you all away from that power, because they ain't going to let you have it, they ain't going to let you take it. And they've had it for centuries. They've took it off everyone else, do you know what I mean? But they ain't going to allow you to take it. Again, look, even this, look, you see the down, look, see the down? See it, look, see the little opposite, see it, look, here? And then what you got here, look, 2, 3, 3, 3, 2, see? It's all Masonic, my profane friends, all Masonic. But anyway, that's a little moan I thought I'd have about Car Bridge. Like I said, it's Masonically owned. All them shops, I guarantee it, are owned by Freakmasons, yeah? And who gets to open a shop here, they decide, yeah? These people that are important, that own these hotels, yeah? That hotel, the other hotel, all the top people that own, like in your towns and your cities, and if they need to use the corrupt career criminals, they will. That just costs a phone call, you know what I mean? And that's it. And whether that community is going to accept you or get on with you or use you as a perjured individual or a target is decided by them. Do you see what I mean? Whether you're acceptable. And if you ain't acceptable within that Masonic lodge, their gang hut, you know what I mean, then they will make you a perjured individual. You will get nothing. No one will comply with you, no nothing, because they hand your photograph out within that Masonic lodge. 150 men, 300, 500, 600, however many men they want. All they got to do is remember your face, and that's it. Do you know what I mean? And remember, their memories are very, very astute and acute to everything, because they have to learn words, images and facts all the way through. So don't think their memories ain't that good and they can't remember your face. Can you remember everyone else's face? No, you don't know who's a Freakmason. You don't know who's wearing a Masonic lodge. Do you know what I mean? So there you go. Are you on the square, guys? No? Ah, good. I love you. But that's the thing about it, you see what I mean? They know who you are, you don't know who they are. Well, unless you've done the research like me. You know, get up at your Masonic lodges and start photographing the people coming and going, yeah? And you'll soon see who the corrupt career criminals are within your community. And you'll see the businesses they own. You can get right into it and you know, and see what fingers and pies they've got themselves into. And the thing is, they're just supporting each other, and they're the ones running the criminals amongst your communities. Do you know what I mean? But it's people like, I'm not saying these people here specifically who own the Car Bridge Hotel, but it's similar people, yeah, that are using the criminals to keep people suppressed. that are speaking the truth, trying to do the right thing, but they're the ones that bring it. Like, say for instance, Tommy Robson, he's in with the Muslims, and but you've got people in amongst the Muslims that are doing the same thing as Tommy. Do you see what I mean? And they're both working against it. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter, as long as you keep arguing. Yeah, the profane, the normal family person, keep arguing. They don't care, and that's what they're there for. People like Tommy Robson, people like. I'm trying to think of other people, but not off the top of my head. But I don't, you know, at the end of the day, you get what I mean. Just see what I mean? So long as they keep going and keeping that control, like they control all the football, you know, the hooliganism, all of that, you know, and they're using them. They control all the gangs, you know, whether they're scooter gangs, 1% bikers, whatever. They're controlling that. They're just hiding their Masonic aprons, you know what I mean? And people need to wake up to it and the manipulation they've been doing for hundreds of years. You know, they bring in people, say like William Wallace, yeah, William Wallace. Who betrayed him? The lairds, yeah? Who were the lairds? The lords, the dukes and the earls. Do you see what I mean? They betrayed him to the English. Why did they betray him? Because they wanted land, titles and all of that, yeah? And that's what happened, do you know what I mean? And on the battlefield, the same thing the G-Travellers have done, yeah? And they've won many battles because they're fighters, they're hard, you know, they're hardy men. And that's what they are, they're fighting men, do you know what I mean? And that's what they've used over the centuries and decades to suppress good people, you know? All right, let's forget William Wallace then, right? Let's look at Joan of Arc. Look into Joan of Arc, yeah? She was surrounded by Freakmasons, yeah? Again, what was she? She was a peasant, yeah? Do you see what I mean? She was profane, yeah? But they made her a hero, yeah? And once she'd done her job for that Masonic agenda, they then burned her at the stake. Who burned her at the stake? The religious people. Do you see what I mean? The you know, that religious faction, whoever they are, I don't know if they're Christians, whatever, but that was mainly Freakmasons. All they did was hide their Masonic apron. Do you see what I mean? And that's what happens over and over and over again. Them lords, dukes and earls, so long as you've got you're useful to them, you know, like Tommy Robson is at this precise moment, and more than likely the leader of the Muslims, he's used to him as well, they'll keep that going. Do you see what I mean? But amongst all that, them groups that are protesting this, protesting that, you've got people wearing Masonic aprons, but they're not wearing them out in the open. Do you see what I mean? There's new laws need to be made that if you're a Freakmason and you're amongst the crowd within, you know, and give them a 10-year sentence, you find a Freakmason in a crowd of protesters, they need to wear their Masonic aprons. Do you know what I mean? Because they'll stand there as anything they want. You know, when you go see a doctor, you want to know if it's a Freakmason. Well, I do. Same as I go to court. I want to know if I'm up against a Freakmason in court and whether I'm standing there now and he's standing there with a prosecutor who's his brother. Do you know what I mean? And is the judge's brother as well. Do you see what I mean? Because he ain't going to condemn his brother. Do you see what I mean? Against me. That takes one little sign. They're going to fucking defend him and I'm going to lose the case. And then what am I going to do? They go, oh, you got to appeal it. Do you know what I mean? But in a appeal case, is it? It's a case of you fucked me over because you lot are Freakmason brothers. And that goes on and on and on. When they come to steal your house, they send in the police, which again are just a bunch of Freakmasons. And again, it's the chief inspector or the sergeant that is enforcing them little runarounds that ain't Freakmasons to do that job. Do you see what I mean? You know, but if you do the research into those Masonic, you know, bailiff companies, you'll see they all belong to the Masonic Lodge. All them companies belong to, and it's just Freakmasonry manipulation over and over again. And people need to wake up to it, you know. And that's what they've done for centuries and decades. And you've got to remember, them G-Travellers are Knights Templars. Yeah, and they're the ones that take the land, take anything they want, and then they serve the lords, dukes and earls and look after their best interests. And that still goes on today. It's just changed. Their uniforms are changed. The Knights Templar uniform now have got black and checkered hats, and they don't wear shields, they don't have lances, they don't have swords, they have truncheons, whistles. Do you see what I mean? And that's what happens, you know, and it changes as they want, you know. Are you on the square, guys? Are you on the square? No?
No, I know what you're talking about.
Oh, good. Oh, good man. I love you then. You're the best of the best of the best. You know what I mean? Beware the Freakmasons. You know what I mean? You know that. Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much. You're the best of the best. So that's it. That's my moment for today. Have a great day, and I love you all. Not you. I was talking to my camera, love. Yeah, you're right. Bloody cheeky woman. Who are you? Who are you? Like Jolene Gillette, is it Jolene Gillette? What's her name? Angela Joloni, or whatever her name is, you know. you like being on camera? I didn't film you lot. I always film the floor. Yeah, you're right. I don't. I don't film people like their faces and all that because people don't like it, do they? Do you know what I mean? Which is, I think that's rude. Do you know what I mean? Even if you're against me, I still wouldn't film you. That's not, that's not the thing, is it? You've got an opinion. Everyone's got an opinion. That's not, nice. All that who keep flashing all them people in the face. And that's more antagonistic or whatever that word is, But I just film like that. You know what I mean? I just film. I mean, they might recognise your feet. They get your trainers and that, you know what I mean? But that's about it. But I don't hold it up and film people. That's not me, That's just more antagonisation, innit? You know what I mean? Even if you didn't agree with me, that still doesn't mean, you're a bad person, does it? You know what I mean? But there is people out there that are bad. They do work, and they hide their Masonic aprons. Do you know what I mean? And they work the communities, and that's wrong. That's what I'm up all about. That's what I'm against. You know what I mean? And the symbolism is all around us, it's 3, 6, 9. Look, that's why there's 3 pyramids there, you see. Then you see the little wall domination balls on top. See, that's what that's all about. We're up against people like this in the communities that own the shops, like the art and crafts, the cafe and all that. And then people keep having meetings against people like us, the working class and all that, and they're special, and they've been there centuries, decades, and it's all willed down by nepotism, you see what I mean? And we'll never own it, so we try and do good, but they use the criminal empires to keep us suppressed, you know what I mean? And they target you, things like that. Do you think you'll ever own that working in, I don't know what jobs you do, but if you work, you know what I mean, if you're just normal working family, you're stuck in that 9 to 5 job and they keep you so busy, do you know what I mean? You think, you know what I mean, we're enslaved really, do you know what I mean? So we'll never own that in the next 500 years. Who do you think working in Tesco's has the same? You know what I mean? And if you start a business, say like there's a taxi service here, he's got 5 cars, and then you decide to get 10 cars because you're a bit richer, is that a viable business for him? No. So he's going to mess you around, you know what I mean? And he's going to use the criminals to slash your tyres, or you take it to the local garage, which is involved with these, and they're going to screw with your cars, you see what I mean? So you ain't got a viable business. That's just a low order one, It don't matter if you're a barber and that, they just funneling drug money through all them, you know what I mean? The police know all about it, but they don't do nothing. You look at all the bouncers and the doormen, the nightclubs, that's been owned by the craze. They own the doors, they own the clubs, they own the pubs. That's what they buy with their drug money. And what do we do to our children? Go have a good night. And then they're wondering why there's all communities now destroyed by drugs. You've allowed them to do that. The police have worked hand in hand with them bouncers that are crime lords. Do you know what I mean? Mad. But that's what I fight up against, you know what I mean? Surprised I ain't been shot yet. I'm sure it'll come though, you know what I mean?
Do you live here then, do you?
No, I'm from Galston, but it doesn't matter where you go, what town, what village or city you're from, there's a community of people that have bloodlines that go back, like heraldry, the heraldry, that, like Lords, Dukes and Earls, they're all in Parliament, but it's all them families that control every, like I'm the king, they've all got kings in each county, that kings and queens, and they run it from the lodge, and now they don't battle with each other, but what it is, if I'm the king of this county here, I'm going to send you to this town, you to that town, you're my brother, you're my sister, and you're going to control that for me, but you're going to pay me, the shops you own, and it's going to be your daughters and sons and whatever that runs all the businesses, you see what I mean? That's how they've done it for centuries and decades, and that goes on. But if you go into direct competition with them, they'll put a sign out, like 500 people say in the Masonic Lodge, they'll say don't cross the threshold of that business, they won't, and you'll go bankrupt, you see what I mean? And they do all that, There's no Knights Templars now where they come round on the nights, nick your chicken and your pig, and now they nick your car and everything else, you know what I mean? They're just wearing different uniforms but hide that Masonic apron behind that uniform and manipulate the public by doing that, which is bad. When you go see a doctor, he's wearing a Masonic apron. Now whether he's going to prescribe you the right dosage and whatever, there's so many times in my life that make funny doctors experimenting which best drug to be on that, but they do it on purpose as well, you see what I mean, to screw you over, but people don't realise it, and if you're targeted by them, you're buggered, like I could start a fight with you now if I'm a Freemason, have a fight with you, or I could start an affair with you, or you, and there'd be because there's women Freemasons, start an affair with you, then you two go through a divorce, you see what I mean? Even though you're a perfect good couple, but that's what they'll do, but that divorce could divide you and break your business up, you see what I mean? Or get your house, they want to buy your house, I can then buy you, you see what I mean? They make these openings up, you see what I mean? That's what they do. So if I started a fight with him, just to, he wouldn't know it, you don't know. I'm not wearing my Masonic apron. I just come like I'm dressed now, and I just start a fight in the pub with him. And then I've got 3 of my brothers with me, and they all witness that he started it, even though he fucking didn't. Who's going to be arrested? Who's gone to jail? And you've got a policeman turning up in a Masonic apron, you see, and that's what they're doing, and that's all, you know. They're doing that manipulation across the, you know, right across the board, and they're getting what they want every time, but they're not showing their proper true colours, you know. And that's the thing about it. You always lose against them because they give a little funny hand sign, a little funny, you know, a wink and a nod, and before you know it, you're right in trouble, you know. I mean, look, that's standing on the square. Do you recognise that? You see? No, that's what I'm saying. That's stand on the square, you know what I mean? And then you've got one there like that, and then your hand go across there like that. You see, these are all signs they use, but there's other signs that are subtle, you know. I mean, can you tie a bow? See, I know you're not a Freemason because what it is, that's a hand grip. It's called a Boaz, yeah? How do you spell Boaz?
It's B-O-W-A.
No, see? Yeah, that's true, right? The first letter is A, yeah? Can you tie a bow? See, that's so can you tie a bow? So it's always A, and they never spell it fully anyway. They only half it. That'll go to you. Well, I ain't going to give it to you fully. I'll give it to you half. So you say, can you tie a bow? And your reply to that is as well as any man can, or as well as any woman can. See, so it's a bow. Can you tie a bow? As a Z, as well. You see what I mean? And that would get. So if we're at war. And you, even though we're wearing the same uniform, I'm hiding my Masonic apron. I say, can you tie a bow? And you go just to what you, I'll shoot you because you're not Freemason. You see what I mean? And that's what they do in wars. Do you know what I mean? Now you've got to remember, in war, if you look at the Nazis, for instance, right, and look at the swastika, it was a circle, which is the compass, and then the sign was actually a square. You see, so the Nazis were circles and squares, and then if you look on the British planes, they were circles on the end of the plane. So they were the compasses. You see. And that's how they do. That's how they fight their wars. We fight it. It's only the only men who go to war are the men, family men. You know, you leave your children and your women, and when you die, they're the ones that get your women. You see what I mean? Or your children, whatever. You see what I'm saying? That's what they do. They don't go to war. You think, like, you know, that's why Churchill survived the war and that. You think Hitler was killed? No, he didn't. He was, you know, because they worked together. He was, you know, disguised and put in an island where you didn't even know. Do you know what I mean? When you see, for instance, you'll see 2 boats on the river, yeah? They fill one boat up with like Profane men, yeah? The other boat get filled up with Freemasons. They go to a nice beach, yeah, where they're waiting to go to war, and the others are put on the beach where they're storming it. Do you see what I mean? And that's what they do, you see? And that's what I'm saying. But when you explain that to people, they go, nah, don't talk shit. Same as when you go to school, you send your kids to school, they go, well, you're in that class, right? And what they're doing, right? You heard mass hypnosis and that, ain't you? Yeah. You got one teacher who's in there, and they hypnose the children, yeah. And they're not even giving them a proper education. What they're doing, they're hypnotising them to like key points where they'll obey orders and, you know, shut them down and things like that. Where their kids are getting a proper education, they learn French, German and all that because they can get on then. You see what I mean? All of that, they learn it from a very young age. You've got to remember that. They're learning French, Dutch and all that so they can talk to anyone. And they give them signs and their brothers like that instantly. But like I said, if I give you a sign now and you didn't respond to that in a kindly manner in war, even though we've all got a British uniform on, but it's a Masonic war, you see what I mean? They fight the war. Well, you're dead, you're shot, you know what I mean? You can go out with a troop of people, every man who's profane, they'll know, and they'll just shoot the guy who killed in the war. You see what I'm saying? But they got the house, they got the lead, you see what I mean? That's why they get all the money.
Definitely,
you know,
an eye-opener.
even that's what I'm saying. When you get all your, like, you get burgled and that, you go, I got burgled, I got robbed, you know what I mean? Yeah, and you call it a burglar or a, you know, whatever. It's a drug addict trying to get, but they control all that drug, and where'd they take the gold? To the pawnbrokers, and you see what I mean? Yeah. You know, and who's buying it? The drug dealers who's got all the money, and then they're just selling it to their mates in the Masonic lodge, and they're getting all the gold that way as well. So you know, it's not just like one thing. It's fucking, but it's not. All the aprons are all hidden. You know what I mean?
Well, you've got to be careful, Steve.
Yeah, you have. I'm telling you. When it kick off, we'll all know about it. I'll tell you. But just remember, keep them away. You know what I mean? All right, take it easy. Have a great day. And there you go. More educated for the you know, once you explain it to people and they do wake up to it, you know, that's it. But how can I do it? I can't do it. I've got no TV channel. Do you see what I mean? I've got no, you know, newspaper or anything. And if I started doing that anyway, like I said, the people within the community that own all these, you know, these shops, pubs and clubs that are in the Masonic lodge would be doing everything in their power to kill me or maim me, or you know, call me a rapist, you know, whatever it may be, yeah. So everyone avoids you. Do you see what I mean? They call you a weirdo, a fucking this, that, and the other. You know what I mean? And that's what happens. And they've got the power and the strength to do that. And like I said, you don't know who they are, what they are, where they are. And like I said, if they want to find you, they can find you because they put GPS on your car. You know, I've actually got, you know, never mind, that's another story. But like I said, when people, you know, when they turn up at places, because everyone just alone memorises you, they actually put GPSs on your car so they can turn up anywhere you want to be and make you feel uncomfortable. Do you see what I mean? You know, whatever that may be, or start a fight with you, get you into trouble, what I just explained to them. Anyway, my profane friends, have a great day, and remember, I love you. You know what I mean, sugar puffs? Have a great day.